Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Courtney Poole, and this is going to be a Q&A on going and being vegan. And the reason why I decided to do this video is because this month, August, and it's 2017 at the moment, is my 12-year veganiversary, or vegan anniversary. So I've always considered August to be like my month of the veganiversary, because 12 years ago in August was the month where I read my first book on veganism. I first learned about veganism, and I had a big shift emotionally, decided I'm gonna go vegan, and I started making changes towards that. And here I am 12 years later, and I'm still vegan, loving it, feeling great, and now my businesses are partly around veganism, and I coach people in going vegan and being vegan and vegan nutrition and doing it safely and yeah, making that shift. So to celebrate, I wanted to open it up for questions, which you're always welcome to ask me questions any time of the day or any time of the year. But I thought that that would be a nice way to celebrate. So I asked for questions on my social media and through my newsletters, and I got a lot of questions. So thank you everyone who submitted your questions. I actually got enough that I can't answer all of them in one video. Or if I did answer them all in one video, it would be probably a couple hours long. And so what I've done is I've picked a couple questions, some nutritional health related questions, and also some more about the emotional side and like the shift to veganism. And I'm going to answer those questions in this little video. And some of the questions that I got, I just thought, well, gosh, this question is great. It deserves an entire video in and of itself. And so if your question isn't answered in this video, it may be because I've decided to make a whole video about it later. So yeah. So let's hop in to our veganiversary questions. The first question is, what inspired you to go vegan? So what inspired me to go vegan, I read a book, and it is a book that I recommend to everybody. If you're a reader or you want to gift a book to somebody who's a reader, I totally recommend this book. Even 12 years later, after so many more vegan books have come out, it's still one of my favorites, one of my most recommended ones. And it is called The Food Revolution, and it's by an author named John Robbins. He's got an interesting story. He was the heir to Baskin Robbins, the ice cream company, and he turned all of it down, went vegan, started speaking about the truth of the dairy industry and other industries, and I just love this book. It's wonderful. And when I read it, I think what really inspired me to go vegan was learning about all aspects of the truth about being vegan or not being vegan. So not just one, but all of them. It inspired me learning about the truth of our physical bodies. What are our bodies really designed to eat? What are they really designed not to eat? Learning the truth about health, physical health, really, and diet. Also learning about the truth about animals, how they're treated. Contemplating the question, is it our right to exploit them and kill them for our purposes? The answer is no. But that really resonated with me. Also the truth about how our diet impacts the environment, the planet, nature, our natural resources. Huge, huge, huge impact. But for me, probably the most impactful part of it, which is something I'm definitely going to make a whole video about because I'm super passionate about it. And interestingly, even now, I find it is still the least talked about aspect of going vegan or veganism, which is how our diets and our lifestyles, whether we consume animal products, eat them, wear them, etc., affects other people, affects populations of people, affects people globally, affects their quality of life, affects literally whether they live or die. That just for me was like, game over, I'm on board. And I felt really inspired and excited. But I suppose the flip side of, you know, kind of like what inspired me to go vegan is it was like very clear at that point that, you know, if I don't do this, I'm just going to keep contributing to destruction, like, and violence and suffering, really. But on the other hand, what was inspiring was like to realize that this is something that I can change today. This is something that I make a choice about multiple times per day, so many times per week, per month, per year, and it has such a big, huge impact on these things. Such a big impact positively if I choose to be all vegan, and a pretty darn serious negative impact if I choose not to be. So I suppose that's really what inspired me to go vegan. And then once I went vegan, everything was going really well, felt really great, still feeling really great. So of course I kept going with it. Second question that I got that I wanted to answer. Would you ever consider not being vegan anymore? Is there any reason you can imagine for not being vegan anymore? No. For me, being vegan is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable no matter what is going on in my life. It's non-negotiable no matter who I'm around. It's non-negotiable no matter what's going on socially in my life. It's non-negotiable no matter where I travel to, what plans I'm making for my life. It is not negotiable at all. And it's a feeling like I know I will always be vegan. I just know that I will. Don't even think about it. It's like, yeah, I just will, and I can't imagine not. Even if I had some kind of health issue that arose, which I have not had any in 12 years of being vegan, nothing has come up. But if I did, I would not think that that was because of a vegan diet. I mean, if I was like living on vegan junk food and I was just eating like Oreos and chips, then I might say, maybe the way I'm going about the vegan diet is creating some health issues. And certainly I would address that. Or if I was eating tons of sugar or like whatever, if I had a unhealthy vegan diet, I'd look at that. But if I was eating pretty healthy, well-rounded diet and I got some kind of health issue, I would see that as an indicator that there must be something going on in my soul that's emotionally based. Because, in that place, it would probably be because I'm suppressing some emotions. I'm suppressing, feeling some things in my soul. And because of that, it's creating health issues. And so I would go down that route. I would not see having a health issue as a reason to not be vegan. Not only would I not see it as a reason to not be vegan, I actually know that it wouldn't be because I was vegan. Like, that's just a fact. Again, particularly if I was eating pretty healthy, that wouldn't be why I had it. That's just a fact because God meant for all of us to be vegan, created our bodies to be vegan. And so logically, it actually wouldn't even make sense that it would be because I was supposed to eat meat or dairy, because that's just not true. So yeah, and I think that when you have a soul-based shift to veganism, it will feel like you'll just always be vegan. You just know you will. You won't ever have in the back of your mind a kind of a thought that you wouldn't be for any reason. So yeah. So now I have a couple of nutritional questions, which I know all of you enjoy talking about that, and I do too. So this whole mix is so funny because they're all kind of like random questions that I just pulled out of my big database that you guys sent me. But the third question I chose is, how is your teeth and gum health being vegan 12 years? It's good. It's great. Do I look okay? I think I look okay. I had braces when I was little. But yeah, no, overall, in the 12 years I've been vegan, when I've gone to dentists, I've always gotten compliments. I've been told I've got great teeth. Whatever I'm doing, I should keep doing it. My teeth are really strong. They're really pretty. They look pretty white as well. They are actually pretty white. And I have never, I haven't done anything since being vegan to do anything to whiten them. I did use some Crest white strips, I think, when I was like a teenager, but since I've been vegan, I haven't done anything particular for my teeth. I think the fact that I don't drink coffee, like full strength coffee, also helps the color of my teeth. But yeah, I feel that dental health is not really a big problem if you're eating a vegan diet. I mentioned the coffee thing. Certainly whether or not you're vegan, coffee can affect, your dental health and obviously the color. I have had, since I've been vegan, I have had 1 or 2 cavities here and there, but that isn't because I was vegan. I think that's more because I've always struggled with different junk food addictions and food addictions. And so even while I've been vegan, I've gone through phases of struggling with eating too much sugar. And the truth is that sugar rots your teeth whether or not you're vegan. So you could still get cavities as a vegan if you eat too much, refined sugar. So I noticed that the few times that happened over the last 12 years were times where I was seeking a lot of like emotional things in really sugary things with refined sugar. But otherwise, like, I've never had any dental problems and my teeth are in great shape. If you're concerned about dental issues, some tips I have. First of all, go 100% vegan. It's really hard to evaluate whether a vegan diet is, like going to be okay for your dental health or be convinced of that or whatever if you're not 100% vegan. And so many of the things that people worry about veganism, I'm like, well, go 100% vegan, like 100%. Do that for a long period of time because there's a chance that it'll be fine. But, go 100% vegan because animal products, contrary to public opinion in most cases, are very bad for bone health. They're very bad for your bone health, including obviously your teeth. There are some pretty amazing studies that you can look up, particularly when it comes to dairy. Everybody's walking around thinking that dairy is good for your bones, that milk is good for your bones, that it's a good source of calcium. And what is mind-blowing about it is that is literally the opposite of what is true. There have been studies that show that people who drink the most milk and who consume the most dairy products have the most problems with bone issues. And so the truth is that actually all animal products are very bad for your bones and they literally can actively contribute to bone problems. And so give up that. Get rid of the dairy. The best, in my opinion, the best sources of calcium and the best things that you can eat for good bone health on a vegan diet are leafy greens. Leafy greens are very high in calcium. There's other good vegan sources of calcium too, but leafy greens are just such a leafy green fan. If we were to make a vegan food pyramid, which some people have done, my opinion, bottom of the food pyramid would be leafy greens, green vegetables. They're great for your teeth, so you just need a lot of leafy greens and, have them raw, do them in smoothies, salads, juices. And I think that if you have a healthy vegan diet, you're doing a lot of leafy greens, you're not, drinking tons and tons of coffee and tons of sugar, I think you're going to be fine with the dental health. It's not been an issue for me. All right, the fourth question. Fourth question I got from a friend of mine who is already vegan and he helps run some vegan businesses. And so I think this is a joke. Well, I'm sure it's a joke. But he commented, "Where do you get your protein?" And the reason I'm laughing about it is because this is one of the most common questions that vegans get. It's one of the things people are most concerned about with going vegan, and yet, honestly, it's like a non-issue. Like, it's just not a big deal, really. It's kind of this thing that in the media, and to be honest, a lot of the animal agriculture companies are very invested in perpetuating this myth that you need animal products for protein and that something bad really is going to happen if you go vegan, but it's just not true. I don't count my protein grams or anything. I don't think about protein too often. I don't worry about it really. I I mean, if you were trying to be extremely, extremely active, like if you were going to try to train for a marathon or a triathlon, or you were going to try to like do bodybuilding to the point of doing competitions and things, then the people who I know who are on that level of athleticism, they do track their protein. A lot of times they do like count how many grams of protein that they have every day. They make sure to get the timing right. So I do think that that can be very important and helpful depending on your level of activity to get that precise. Personally, my current fitness routine as of now is that I do per week, I pretty much do, and this is just my preference, you don't have to do it this way, but per week I do a pretty equal amount of cardio and weight training. So I do probably about 3 to 4 hours a week of weightlifting, lifting heavy weights, using weighted machines, things like that. And then I do about 3 to 4 hours as well of pretty intense cardio per week too. So that includes very, very uphill hiking that I try to do as fast as possible. I also currently go to some gym classes which involve jumping and running and very high intensity stuff where I'm sweating buckets by the end. So I'm pretty active. Like I said, I'm not a triathlon trainer or anything, but yeah. And what I find is that if I just pay attention to my body, which is how I go about my diet anyway, if I pay attention to my body, and by the way, that doesn't mean giving in to your emotional cravings, but if I really tune into what my body needs, I find that my body naturally craves some protein when it needs it. And a lot of times that is after some exercise. But my point is I don't really worry about it. And there are probably days where I sort of don't technically get a lot of protein, but I just don't even think about it. And there's other days where I have more. And I think it all kind of evens out based on what my body's telling me that it needs. So my personal favorite protein sources, first of all, leafy greens, vegetables, and fruit. You might think to yourself, Courtney, what are you talking about? We're talking protein sources here. However, those things in large quantities, when you eat a lot of them, they are a protein source. You get your amino acids from them. You get all kinds of good stuff that your body can build muscle from and that your body can source energy from. And when you think about it logically, some of the strongest, most muscular animals in the kingdom, the animal kingdom, in the kingdom, sounds like I'm talking about Game of Thrones. Some of the most muscular animals on the planet, mammals, just like we're mammals, of course, are animals that eat a huge amount of leafy greens, leaves, grasses, some fruits, and that's the majority of their diet. And yet they are very strong for their body size. They're very muscular. They look great. They're clearly not having any problems with protein. So if you think of gorillas and apes or elephants or horses, a lot of these animals are either mostly vegan or all vegan naturally. And they're clearly not having any issue. And so the truth is that our bodies can actually get a lot of what we need from a protein amino acid sense just by eating large quantities of raw fruits and vegetables and leafy greens. Let's see. Also, I love chia seeds. So I do chia seeds quite often in smoothies. I put chia seeds in smoothies and blend them up and they thicken things. I also do chia pudding or chia porridge. I actually have a couple of good recipes for those on my website. And yeah, chia seeds is great. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite sources of protein is spirulina. Now, if I am not careful, I will go on a tangent about spirulina for 20 minutes. So I'm going to discipline myself. I love spirulina. I could talk for so long about how much I love spirulina, how much I believe that algae farming could save the planet and just help so many things. But long story short, spirulina and a lot of these algae, similar to spirulina, are by percentage of protein some of the highest protein foods on the planet. Significantly higher than animal protein, animal flesh and secrements, and even higher than a lot of other plant-based protein. And it's also a kind of protein that is very easy for your body to digest. So it does not take a lot of effort for your body to absorb the protein from and utilize the protein from algae. So spirulina is my favorite. I've gone through phases where I've had multiple tablespoons per day for like years on end, and it's always been one of my favorites. My favorite way to take it is in a salad form. I have a recipe for spirulina salad on my website. And also, by the way, as a side note, some spirulinas taste a lot better than others. And so what I'll do is I'll link below a couple of my favorite brands of spirulina. So that's another favorite one for me. What else? Garbanzo beans for me are like a food group in and of themselves. I love garbanzo beans. All beans are great sources of protein on a vegan diet. My favorite are garbanzo beans. I eat so much hummus. I bake garbanzo beans in the oven, and so there are these little sort of nice, almost crouton-y, snacky type of things. I even have desserts that I make with garbanzo beans or garbanzo flour, like chickpea flour. Very high in protein, very satisfying. Other sources of protein that you can have on a vegan diet, other vegetables, just green vegetables. I also have protein, like I said, other beans, legumes, quinoa. Quinoa is another favorite of mine. Tofu and tempeh as well. Someone actually asked me, I didn't make an official question, but someone asked me about the tofu tempeh thing. I have had soy here and there for years, and I've never had any problem with having soy. Granted, I eat organic soy, and I eat the less processed forms of soy. Like these days, there's a lot of ways that soy is processed very, very heavily into different vegan products. I pretty much only, for the most part, get soy through tofu, tempeh, which is fermented soy, and like occasionally soy milk, although almond milk is my favorite plant-based milk. But yeah, I do soy not like every day, but maybe every week or a couple times a month. It probably evens out to, and I've never had any problem with organic soy at all. I feel very satisfied after. Seems good. So I'm a fan, and it's got a lot of protein in it as well. So yeah, I think the bottom line is like, just don't worry about protein. Again, if you're not just subsisting on like chocolate and French fries, if you're eating a healthy vegan diet that is well-rounded, you're getting vegetables, you're getting all these things, even a raw food diet, a raw vegan diet. I was raw food, pretty much all raw food for years. I just ate a lot of chia and spirulina and greens and fruit, and I was fine. But yeah, I just think that it's not something to worry about, really. Not really an issue. Question 5. What is the best aspect of being vegan? Yeah, this is interesting because I haven't thought about this question in a while, because to me now it's just like, well, I just am. Like, I don't often think about it in that way. But I suppose like one of the benefits is that I know I'm healthier. Like, I feel so much healthier being vegan than I did before I was vegan. Going vegan cleared up so many of my health issues, or helped clear up some of my health issues. I should clarify that, because I actually feel that my health issues were largely benefited as well by emotional work that I was doing. But there's a definite difference in how I feel being vegan. But I suppose to me, the way that I think about the benefits of being vegan now are less about me and more about like other people or other things. So in other words, like being vegan doesn't feel like it's about me really anymore. It feels, well, and even back when I went vegan, I connected to these bigger issues, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it's about me. It feels like if I want to be moral and ethical and loving, being 100% vegan in my diet and my lifestyle is the only option. It just is. And so, like, I suppose I feel like the benefits of being vegan are the fact that I know that in this particular area of my life, I'm not contributing to the massive destruction and problems that consuming and using animal products has. It sort of feels like it's just the loving way to go, and that's the benefit. But I do think that there is a thing where anytime we make a shift in love, anytime we change emotions in our soul, change feelings in our soul towards a more loving end, and we start taking actions which are more loving in any area, whether it's our diet and our lifestyle in this way or any other area, because certainly being vegan and going vegan is a very small part of becoming more loving people. But I think that anytime you do take those steps, there's a feeling of like alignment, or like there's just a good feeling, I think, that inherently must happen or does happen in the soul when a shift in love has been made. So in other words, it almost feels like, independent of the fact that it's good for my health and things like that, there's just this good feeling that comes from being a bit more loving in a certain area. It feels good. There's a feeling like this is more loving, this is more moral, and yeah. So I suppose that's the main benefits for me in being vegan. So those were my 5 questions that I chose, and I hope that you got something out of these questions. So again, look for future videos if your question didn't get answered. And if you want to get updates from me, you can subscribe to my newsletter at my website, which is courtneypool.com. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel here by clicking the subscribe button, which will automatically give you updates there. I'm also on most social media platforms if you just search my name. And you can email me at my website if you are interested in coaching, as I do coach people in nutrition, and the emotional side about going vegan or staying vegan, troubleshooting any of your questions or issues being vegan that seem to be coming up. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon, and thanks for listening. Okay, bye everyone.